Hi my lovely Frosty fam, it's me, Karen Frost, here at Nail Decadence, and I'm bringing this video to you. Woohoo! I know it's a bit late, but you know, I did say I would do my best, and I'm doing my best, so here's another video for you. Late, but you know, better late than never. So in this video I'm doing my own nails, and I created this sort of Louis Vuitton inspired set using some brown foil, as you can see. I mixed this brown colour myself. If you're interested in how I mix my acrylic colours, then check the link in the cards. That will take you to a video on how I make my acrylic powders, well, my coloured acrylic powders. So the monomer I use with my acrylic powders is always Nao, because I use the Nao powders to mix that, and then I have the monomer for the Ink London powders because that's what goes with them. I don't mix and match my liquids and powders. There is reasons, there is science. If you're interested, do some research, but basically it's best to use the liquid that goes with the powder because they are a system and are made to be used together. So yes, just bear that in mind. That's why I have two different monomers, because I have two different brands of powders. Anywho, so as you can see, this is the set. What do you think? I quite like how these turned out, actually. Really liked them. Anyway, on with what we're doing. So I have obviously prepared my nails, filed back down to my clear base layer, and applied some new tips. I don't remove my thin clear base, I leave it on to protect my nails. That way all I'm always doing is just prepping the regrowth area as opposed to the entire nail. I don't like having to prep the entire nail over and over again because that leads to thinning of the nail plate. So by leaving that thin clear base on, I'm protecting my nail, and there's no reason to remove that thin clear base unless it is lifted. You can leave it alone, it does no harm. Your nails don't need to breathe, they don't have lungs, it's perfectly fine. So that's why I leave my thin clear base, because it's just a layer of protection. So on this index finger, what I am doing is obviously I'm making a reverse smile line. So I'm doing an extended nail bed, bringing that down to as far as I'd like it to go, and my powder started setting up a bit quick on me there, so it's a little bit lumpy bumpy, but I'm not worried. I also like to cap everything and build my structure with my clear as opposed to my colours. That way my colours last a bit longer, and obviously clear is the strongest powder. So yeah. Oh, I forgot, I obviously applied my tips and my thin clear base. I don't know if I actually mentioned that properly, but yeah, in preparation of, before I clicked the camera to record, I'd already applied my thin clear base, so that that regrowth area is also protected by that thin clear base too, because like I said, I hadn't removed the rest of it. So anyway, on with another extended nail bed, this time on the little finger. I didn't even think about using the tool. I could have used that tool. Do you remember the tool in the neon video a few videos down? If you look in my library, you'll see there's a neon pink and yellow set with pink and black and yellow. Yeah, neon set. If you look at that, I used the smile line tool on that. I didn't even think about it, but I could have used it to do this set, and it would have been pretty cool to use it on this set. It would have been easier for sure, especially with doing my opposite hand. I normally start with doing my opposite hand first, because using your non-dominant hand, if you can do it with your non-dominant, then it's normally, you know you can use your dominant hand. So, but yeah, I could have used that tool really, but never mind, I did it by brush. So I've obviously capped that cover pink, and I'm gonna let it set up and carry on with the other nails, and then go back and file those smile lines in. So on the ring finger, it's going to be the same on the middle finger as well. I'm applying that brown colour that I mixed myself and just fading that back, because these are going to be an ombre, so I'm just fading it back and then bringing the rest of the brown down the nail. That bead was a little bit dry, so I need to add a little bit more to get the colour to go right the way down to the very free edge. So I'm not worried about it being totally opaque, because I'm going to be using that foil, so I'm just getting it, you know, just basically covered, but I'm not worried about it if it's not entirely opaque. So it's the same thing on the thumb as well, and I'm just comparing it to my other hand just to make sure that it's looking similar. So now I'm going to use the Sbd London Foil Gel to apply the foils, because now by the time I'd done that thumb, these had set up enough so that they're, you know, not going to be soft and squishy or anything. Cure that for 60 seconds, and then I'm going to use this foil, this brown LV foil. I got this set from I think it was AliExpress, or was it? I think Louise does them at Sbd London as well. Did I get it off her? I can't remember. You'll see. Well, search for LV foils, nail foils, and you'll find wherever sells them. I'm pretty sure Louise has them at Sbd London, so you can also check her out. She does boxes of foils, which is cool. So I'm just applying the foil, as you can see, just line it up the way I want it. So I wanted the LV to sort of be down the center of the nail, and yeah, just rub it and get it to stick on. I love the Sbd London Foil Gel. It works really well. So yeah, as you can see, I get full coverage with the foil. It doesn't leave any bits behind. It works so good. So now that the thumb has set up, I can apply the foil gel to that, get that cured for 60 seconds. And then I can apply the foil as soon as it comes out of the lamp. Again, I'm lining up that LV down the center of the nail. And give it a good rub. Get it to transfer. I mean, it's a little bit lumpy bumpy because, you know, I've half applied acrylic on it, so yeah, but it doesn't matter. I'll get there. If there are any little lumps, I just used my nail, as you saw, I just rubbed it with my nail and it's fine. And now I'm going to encapsulate the foil with the rubber base. Some foils, when you apply acrylic over them, they kind of melt and the colour runs. I didn't want to risk that happening, so I'm going to encapsulate the foil in some rubber base first of all. We'll get that cured for 60 seconds, and now I know when I go over it with acrylic, I know that that foil is totally protected. I mean, yeah, it takes a minute for the, you know, it adds a little bit of time on, but not, you know, not a substantial amount of time by any means. So it's definitely worth doing, so that you know your foil is safe and it's not going to get ruined. So as you can see, I'm applying the cover pink over the foil, making an ombre nail. So I applied that first bead right where the foil ended, brought that down some, and then the second bead behind that, and then the third bead was my cuticle bead. And then I'll take a look and I'll check whether the foil is sewing through too much or just right, kind of thing, and adjust the ombre as needed. So once I've got that ombre the way I'd like it to go, I go straight in and cap the entire nail with my clear acrylic. There we go. I didn't remove the tacky layer from the rubber base coat. It's up to you if you'd like to remove the tacky layer or not. I don't bother doing it because the brush is going to wipe off a lot of it, and also any tacky layer that's left, when I do my top coat cure at the end, whatever inhibition tacky layer is left will then get cured. But you only get a tacky layer when the nail is exposed to oxygen. So once it's encapsulated, it's no longer in contact with oxygen, so therefore it will cure. So that's why I don't bother removing the tacky layer. But if you want to remove the tacky layer, it's perfectly fine for you to do so. It's up to you, whichever way you'd like to do it. So onto the middle finger, same thing. It's a bit of a repetitive set, this one. The two middle fingers and the thumb are the same with the ombre. So I'm just going to use my cover pink. And you see, when I placed that first bead down, I didn't bring the entire bead down the nail. I only brushed sort of the first half of the bead down to get my ombre going, if that makes sense. And then once I've done that, then I can put beads behind it to build my cover pink back towards the cuticle area, and then I will cap the nail in clear acrylic. There we go. So I'm just building up my strength and structure with the clear acrylic. Like I said, I prefer to do that in clear as opposed to the cover pink. I mean, technically you could build up your apex with the cover pink and then only cap from the blend down, so that your blend is protected and your ombre blend, that is protected, and you don't file into it. But yeah, no, I just prefer to cap everything. I love the way it looks with the clear over the top, and like I said, it also, you know, makes my colours last that little bit longer, and that's a win-win for me. When I am capping, I will compare the nails to each other. I will also compare the nails to my other hand to make sure that they're a similar, you know, thickness and stuff. Yeah, always compare. That way you get a more uniform set and it just looks cohesive, you know. Onto the thumb, as you see, I put that first bead down to get my ombre blend going, and then put another bead behind that, and then another bead by the cuticle area. Only small beads I'm working with at the moment because like I said before, I'm not building my apex with my cover pink, only with my clear. I wasn't happy with the blend, it needed to come down a little bit further, so just comparing it to my other hand and adding cover pink wherever I need it, which was just a little bit further down the foil. So I'm just going to add a clear bead over that LV, get that nice and encapsulated, and then I will add further beads to build up the strength and structure of the nail. And just pat and press. Try and keep your sides nice and neat. If you swipe your side walls, you keep your shape better and you will have less filing to do, which is always a win. There we go. I'm just working my way back towards the cuticle area, making sure that I have my apex in the back third. That's where your strength will be. Look at that nail from all different angles. There was a bit of a dip there, so I just added a little bit more acrylic, and the tip was a little bit too thin, because what you want is you want to have the nail just ever so slightly thicker than what you want the final nail to be, so that you've got a margin to file into. If the nail is exactly the thickness you want it to be, by the time you file it, it will be too thin. So just yeah, have it just ever so slightly thicker than what you want the final nail to be. That way you've got a margin. So the extended nail beds have hardened, so I'm going to file them, and because I capped the other nails, I'm not having to worry about any of the dust getting on them. So yeah, I'm just going to use my hand file and sharpen up those extended nail beds. When you are doing this, always remember to push against the wall of the extended nail bed, not down onto the nail. You'll know what it feels like when you do it, when you put your nail file up against that wall and push sideways into the wall, but not down on the nail. That way you don't end up putting deep grooves into your nail. That's the last thing you want to do, especially our client. You do not want to be putting grooves in their nail beds at all. I mean, yes, we have a thin clear base, but it is very thin, so it would be very easy to get past that. So do be careful when you're filing in, for sure. So I've removed the dust, and I've just given the nail a little brush over with some monomer. And now I'm applying the brown that I mixed myself. I'm applying that right up the wall. That way I get a nice sharp line from when I file in. It doesn't matter if any of the brown gets over onto the cover pink, because we've already capped that. It's already, you know, sorted. So any that goes over the top will just get filed away. It's not a problem. I'm keeping this layer very, very, very thin because I'm going to be adding the glitter. So I want to keep it as thin as possible, but have good coverage right up those walls. And that's how you get a really sharp smile line. So now I'm going to add the glitter. I'm picking up the raw glitter with just a tiny, teeny weeny bead of clear acrylic, and again I'm putting that right up the wall, and then I'm fading it down, and this will give such a cool effect with your smile line, because it'll be so dark in contrast to the cover pink. It just makes the smile line really pop. There we go, right up that wall, and then I just sort of fade it down towards the tip of the nail, but I'm not bringing it down too far. Just want to fade it down a little bit. Obviously, if you want to fill the entire free edge with glitter, feel free, go ahead. This is just what I did. I'm just having a look, making sure it all looks alright, and then I will cap that free edge. Like I said, I already capped the cover pink, so I'm only capping the free edge of the nail. Get all that glitter nicely protected and safe behind that clear acrylic, so I don't file into it. I mean, I will file into it ever so slightly because obviously I brought it right up the wall, but that's inconsequential. It won't matter. I'm not actually filing into the bulk of the glitter. It'll only be what is, you know, hanging over the top of the wall, so to speak. Now look at that nail from all different angles. Make sure there are no dips and missing bits, and I will add acrylic wherever it is needed. Same on this index finger. Cap that free edge entirely. Like I said, only the free edge. I like doing it this way because it gives you a really cool smile line reveal. Some people are really neat with their French effects. They, you know, don't go over the top of their cover pink at all, and they're really neat and tidy. Yeah, that's not me. And I just love the filing part when you get that really sharp defined line outline. I just love that part. So yeah, I'm not neat about my French nails at all. Again, look at it from all different angles, compare it to the other hand, make sure it's a similar thickness, and if not, add a little bit more. You want your free edge to be credit card thickness, not any thicker than that really. I'm starting to lose the shape of this nail a little bit here, not being as neat as I should with the sidewall, so I've got a little bit of filing to do there to bring it back into shape, but it won't take too much. And speaking of filing, here we go, it's filing time. Are you a frosty filing freak? If you are not, please skip ahead to the timestamp in the corner of the screen, and that will take you to the next part of the nails. But if you are a frosty filing freak, here we go. So first thing I have decided to do on this set is file the cuticle area, get that nice and flush. Now I have various different filing routines, however I will only use one at a time on a set, so I will do the same thing on each nail, whatever which way I start. So if I started filing the sidewalls first, I would continue that through all the nails, and that's that, you know, they all follow the same routine. This time, like I said, I'm using the e-file to go around my cuticle area, get that nice and flush first of all, so therefore I do that on all of the nails. Now I'm using a it's a coarse, I think it's a coarse filing bit on my e-file to just bring my smile line out, get it shown, and file off any bulk. It's a little bit thick there, so I'm just bringing it down somewhat onto the little finger, reveal that smile line, remove any bulk, and you can see that smile line coming into focus. There's still more filing to do, but I just wanted to reveal the smile line and bring the most of the bulk down first. And now I am filing my sidewalls, get those nice and neat and straight. So what I do is I put the file underneath the nail on the underarch first, and then I rotate the file up to file the sidewall, and you want to make sure you've got contact right up the sidewall all the way, and keep that nail file nice and flat against the nail so that you get a really good sharp shape. I'm filing one side, then I'm filing the other side, and then I stop and I look and I make sure that the nail isn't going wonky, because what the last thing you want to do is file one side too much and then you'll have a wonky nail. So stop and look and make sure that your nail is going straight up and not to either side. Same again on the little finger, starting on that underarch, rotating up and getting the sidewall. I've switched to a fine, I think this one is, a fine carbide bit, so that I can just refine the shape of the nails. Don't have a huge amount to file, so I'm just refining the shape of the nail. Making sure that free edge isn't too thick. Just checking my apex and smoothing out any lumps and bumps, making sure the nail doesn't have any lumps and bumps basically, and that it has a nice shape to it. So it's not a huge amount of filing to do really, but I did make a little bit of a mess of the ones with glitter, so they needed a little bit filing to refine the shape. So what I'm doing there, you see I'm blending the apex into where I'd already filed this cuticle area. You want it to, you want the filing to be following the shape really nicely so that you've got curves, not harsh lines. Your nail needs to have a nice curve and slope to it. What you don't want is harsh edges. It shouldn't look like that. The only edges you should have are, you know, the underarch and the very free edge where it's squared off. But the nail itself on top should be well rounded and curved. So those lines, when we filed in the sidewalls, we need to blend those lines into the nail so that it curves. You don't want that edge to remain there on the nail. I hope I'm making sense. I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm not. It's so hard when you're not, you know, actually pointing to what you mean at the time, if that makes sense. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So now I'm just going to do a little bit more shaping on the sidewalls and free edge, because sometimes when you file the surface of the nail, it will change how your sidewalls look. So I'm just making sure that they are nice and sharp with a 180. Don't need anything really much more than that at this point. 180 file, I think, or is it a 150? Can't remember. I think it's the 180. Yeah, just make sure your sidewalls are nice and sharp and straight, and get that free edge squared off. And then once I've done that, I will use my sanding band to just refine and smooth over and remove any scratches on the nail. You could do it with a buffer as well. Oh, I'm still faffing with my sidewalls. Oh, I'm just going underneath the nail. I hate leaving the bits underneath the nail. Any frills or any spilled over acrylic, I can't abide it. I will end up picking at those kind of things. So I always check the underneath of the nails and make sure I remove any bits that need removing. I started refining the surface of the nail with the hand file, and I was like, what are you doing, Karen? And then I thought, no, I'm not going to do this with the hand file. No way am I going to do all of the nails. But you can, if your hands can take it, you can refine the entire shape with your hand file or a buffing file. So my hands were hurting, so I stopped doing the refining with the hand file and switched to my sanding band like I mentioned before. And you can do the same with your hand file that you can do with your sanding band. It's up to you. I like to use my e-file as much as possible so that I've got less stress on my hands. But yeah, if your hands can take it, then by all means use your hand file, but I'm going to use my sanding band. So I showed you on the little finger how to file to smooth the surface with the hand file. Now I'm showing you that you can do the same thing with your e-file. It's just a matter of paying attention to how you're using it. So around that cuticle area, blend that into the apex, then go over the apex. Now bear in mind, I don't have the e-file on very high at this point. It's probably only on about 5 or 6 because I'm just smoothing the surface. That's all. I'm not trying to remove any bulk or anything. I'm just smoothing. So around that cuticle area, blending it into the apex so that it's nice and a smooth transition up to the apex, and then bring it down. I'm also making sure that, like I said, those sidewalls that were squared off, that it's now curved into up the side of the nail, up towards the center of the nail, so it's a nice curve from one side right around to the other. I decided to give them a little buff as well. Now you don't have to do this. This was me just being extra, but I don't always buff with the buffer after a sanding band, because normally the sanding band is more than enough. It's fine, but I just felt like I wanted to make them really super smooth for some reason, so I decided to use my sanding, what's it called? Sanding file. It's a foam file, so it's soft, so it kind of moulds to the shape of the nail. Yeah, I decided to give them a bit of a buff, and yeah, once I've finished that, I will go and wash my hands and remove all of the dust. Wipe over the nail with some rubbing alcohol and a lint-free wipe. I'm just comparing the nails, making sure they're similar. So yeah, I washed my hands now, as you can see, lint-free wipe with some rubbing alcohol, because soap has moisturisers and things in it, so you want to make sure you remove that before you top coat. But before we top coat, I'm going to add some crystals first of all. I'm going to use these metallic brown crystals. I find these kind of, like the metallic looking crystals, they annoy me sometimes, because they some of them lose their covering, their metallic covering, and then they end up just being clear underneath, and that's really annoying. So yeah, these ones worked out okay, but I've used some other ones before that are metallic. I think they were gold or silver, and the colour rubs off. So like if it's gold, the gold will rub off and it will be a clear underneath. So be careful with your brown be careful with the metallic crystals, because sometimes they lose. I think you should probably test them out on yourself before you put them on clients, just to make sure the metallic doesn't rub off. over time, because that's not what you want for your clients for sure. It's one thing for it to be on yourself, but if it's on a client, you definitely want to pay attention to that. So I did those crystals, flash cured them in place. Now I'm going to put some crystals on the thumb. Not going overboard with the crystals, because I wanted the foil to, you know, be more of the focus and the smile lines to be more of the focus than the crystals. So yeah, didn't really need the crystals, but I fancied a few. Flash cured those in place, and now it's time to top it off and keep it tough. Oh yes. This is probably my favourite top coat, the tempering top coat from Sbd London. It's really hard wearing, it's not too thick, it's not too thin, it stays shiny. I really like this top coat. So yes, that's the one I decided to go with on this set. I have some other top coats that I like as well, but this has to be, yeah, one of my favourites. So I'm going to top coat around the crystals, not over them. I never go over the top of crystals, because crystals have facets and that's what makes them sparkle and shine. So if you are to go over them with your top coat, you will lose the facets, because it will turn into like a little ball, and so yeah, it won't have the angles for it to hit the light, which is what makes them sparkle. So always go around them, never over them. And look at that glitter showing through, and the gold LV. Oh, I like how this set came out. Let me know what you think of this set. I'd love to, you know, hear what you have to say about it, of course. But of course it also means that we are at the end of the video. There are some photos and footage at the end as usual, but for now I'd like to say thank you ever so much for coming to my channel, watching this video, spending some of your most precious time with me. I appreciate you ever so much. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. It's free. Join the Frosty Fam. We'd love to have you. As the channel grows, it's wonderful to get new comments and, you know, for me to meet you guys. Say hello. Speaking of which, if you feel like it, you are more than welcome to leave me a comment. I'm happy to talk to you. I love getting to know my subscribers and talking with you guys in the comments, so feel free to leave one down below. And if you've enjoyed this video or it's helped you in any way, shape or form, do please leave me a little like. Just press that thumbs up button. It really does help the channel. I know YouTubers say it all the time, but it really does help, and it takes you but a second to do. So please do go ahead and click that like button if you've enjoyed this content. So that is all I have for this time, peeps. So you take care now, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Are you still here? If you're still here, leave me a brown, do they do brown hearts? If not a brown heart, then you leave me a red heart in the comments below, so that I know you stayed to the end to watch the pictures and stuff. Thank you. Bye. Love ya.
Someday soon I'm gonna make it.